Bobby Wright, the Wright Company, a downtown commercial real estate company.
You seem to have like a macro approach, a collaborative approach to marketing. And that was from day one, your vision.
From day one.
I love seeing a visionary entrepreneur. Okay, so welcome back, Bobby Wright. We had a great conversation about your career in commercial real estate, and now I've learned that you also have a passion for fitness, and at some point you acquired the gym downtown. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Levi, it actually wasn't acquired. We decided, a team of us, that in order to rebuild a section of Granby Street, which is the 200 block, that we needed you could call it a loss leader, because we weren't sure whether fitness would make money or not, but we needed something to create energy and attract customers and business. So if you think about it, in the early 2000s, there wasn't a lot going on Granby Street. So we're trying to get leases with tenants that do retail, office, and even some apartments. And so in order to do that, there's got to be things to do.
Right.
So a group of us got together, all professionals, all agree that we need to do something about the Granby Street area that's wonderful and cool. But overall, you need to look for, when you talk to somebody about city life and you start talking about what it could be, because you compare it to other things like Ybor City, and you see that and you see them get, kind of up on their toes and they're excited, that's a bird of a feather. So I was able to get 3 guys that were birds of a feather to come together in different careers and invested into the gym downtown. And the goal there was, again, to fill all the restaurant spaces underneath it, because the gym is on the 2nd and the 3rd floor, which was a pretty novel thing and kind of a trailblazing thing in retail. But if you look back in history of Granby Street, 100 years ago, there was lots of retail above the ground floor. In fact, above Bonchon on the 3rd floor was an Asian restaurant on the 3rd floor in the early 1900s. So it was a very active block. So we were not going to accept the suburban mindset that everything had to be ground floor, big windows, and you had to be able to see the gym. So we developed the gym downtown, and we had some goals from a fitness standpoint as well. One is women. We recognize that women attract other women, and they also attract men. So we wanted a fitness club for all people and all walks of life.
Right.
So since we have historic buildings, that worked really well, because we're not tearing down brick walls that are 100-some years old. So we had sections of areas that we could designate for a certain exercise.
Okay.
Such as the leg room. And the leg room is very popular. It has beautiful glazed brick. It has the termination of the original elevator, which some people think is a guillotine, but it's not. It's the top of the elevator. It's wood. It's beautiful. But that would allow people, like, let's say some of my buddies that we call beach houses. That means they work from their waist up only, arms, chest,
no
shoulders,
legs, just
no
all
legs,
aesthetic muscles.
just sticks, right? So we don't want to look like Nag's Head, the Outer Banks. So we create a leg room to encourage people to go into the leg room. But in women, if you're squatting or doing things that maybe another woman wouldn't want a man staring at, that's a great place to go, because you're only with people doing legs. You're not in a big cavernous building where some creeper can be over watching you do squats.
Just sit behind you doing lap pulls,
Yeah.
watching you do squats.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were really thoughtful, is my point. It wasn't just let's get a gym and attract people. It was, we need fitness, because people come early to a gym, 5 a.m. in the morning, like Navy and first responders and all, they're early. And then some people go late. So we could create traffic on Granby Street from, say, 5 in the morning till late at night. And it did. It created energy. So from there, we started signing leases with unique local operators that were willing to put their skin into the Granby Street game.
They wanted to invest. They wanted to be part of it.
Yeah, and that's the best way, right?
Okay.
Because when we got together, it wasn't my restaurant, your gym, that kind of thing. It was our neighborhood. We were talking about, how do we advance our neighborhood? How do we get more people interested in our
So
neighborhood?
the gym was almost like you wanted to create a catalyst for,
It was.
yeah,
Good
to create
word.
a catalyst.
Thank you.
It almost, was there anybody in your team that had like a background in psychology? Because it almost sounds like there's a psychological aspect of it.
That's funny you'd say that, and I would say no. There was a doctor, there was a veterinarian, there was an accountant, There's me.
I say that because I know that casinos, the way that you had mentioned the layout of the gym and how you wanted to appeal to certain people for very, very specific contexts, it reminded me of how psychologists have a play on building casinos. So I was curious. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And even today, 20 years later, we're still marketing and we're actually rebooting the gym. We're going to make the gym again to be the social hub of the downtown area. Especially young people, they're not like my generation. We partied. I used to party and drink a ton. I don't drink anymore, any of that. Stayed up all night. Young people are not doing that. They do fitness. They do coffee bars. They might do martinis. So they're not drinking much, which is wonderful. This is so good on the health. So we want to do all of that, not just have, some equipment where you show up, but we want to give reasons for people to come together and maybe meet their wife or their husband or their friends or their roommate, but have something to do. Thousands of new people have moved downtown since we started what we were doing.
Right.
Looking back, this far exceeds probably the dream that I would say me personally had for downtown.
Okay.
Like light rail, a train running through.
And all these new people, all these new experiences. Okay.
Yeah, they all have new habits, right?
So you're saying you want to have like a social experience involved with, I guess, both your commercial spaces and your gym. So if it's a social experience, what should they be talking about? What should the topic of conversation be in those groups?
Well, if we just talk about tenants for a minute, I've grown to be somewhat of a mentor to retailers because what I've seen over time is I'm going to take brewery, for example. Mm-hmm. Levi, maybe you make beer at home in your garage. A lot of people do this. It's actually a big, big hobby. So you're making the beer and you're inviting me over for a beer and I come over and you got Levi's Best. And I'm like, wow, bro, this is the best beer, right?
Right.
And then, your friends come over and we have a good time. We do that for a week or so. And then you start to think that you could open a brewery. Well, you gave me free beer. It's always going to be good when it's free. And you're my brother, right? But is someone that doesn't know you going to come and spend $20 for a pint of beer? Those are the questions when I sit down with a new restaurant tenant. I'm trying to find out how seasoned they are as an operator because a lot of chefs are really good at recipes and great with food, horrible at business. So what happens? They open up, great food, for whatever reason, it doesn't work financially, and then they go to the wayside. So I tried to prevent a constant turnover of people that think they can do it and they don't. So it's about mentorship on, I see where you've been. Mm-hmm. I see your goal as a chef and as a businessman. And I also can see how you fit in on the block. For example, we like variety, right? So if it's Vietnamese, then we want a German restaurant. If we have that, maybe we want Polish. We don't want 10 tapas restaurants.
You need some diversity. Yeah.
I saw the tapas thing probably 15 years ago. It got too many. Everyone had tapas, small plates. I get it. You can make a lot of money on a small plate. Right. But that did not set a tone of, let me go through the walking district, and today I might feel like Italian, but tomorrow my girlfriend might like Polish. But we can still go to the block.
Because you have options. Yeah.
Options. That's what a true city is about, right? Okay. 24/7 city, which we like to believe we are these days.
So I know from our prior conversations that you have a passion for holistic health as well. So do you keep that in mind when looking for tenants? Are you going to have a tenant that has horrible food for your body, but it tastes good, or does it all have to be healthy food?
Well, that's a business decision by the tenant. Obviously, they're paying us good rent, and not all Americans think like me, nor are all Americans worried about GMOs or glyphosate or Roundup or organic, things like that. I do think, though, now the release of censorship around, say, big pharma, big medicine and such, and people have dug deep into social media and they are now aware of the truth. Now, what are you going to do with the truth? That's up to you. So if you decide to continue drinking Coca-Cola, that's up to you.
Right.
And that's okay. And I will never shame somebody for doing that because I've had my vices and I have some now, right?
Right.
But when we get to our tenants, we do look for people, though. I will ask the question, let me see your menu. And that's not to say, oh, everything's unhealthy. It's I want to see, of my friends, who
Who
would
would
be
go?
interested in the restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of gauging, does this fit into the monopoly board that I call Granby Street for us? I also want to see, though, from a marketing standpoint, that the restaurant is thinking seasonal.
Okay.
What are you doing different to reinvigorate the customer that hasn't come in a while?
So what's the normal response? Do people usually have a seasonal menu? Do you help them develop one? What's the typical response?
Typical response is good idea.
Good idea. Good idea with action or good idea no action?
Well, again, I can't make them do it, but as a promoter of the business and promoter of the Granby Street area, because we're not just a landlord. We really are a friend. We're a partner. We're a collaborator.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, though, I'm hoping that the operators become better operators. And how do you become a better operator? You're in tune and sensitive to your customer, right? So I feel, this is my opinion, but some restaurants get big britches and they think they know what's best for me. But if you actually ask me, I might tell you, man, when it comes into the fall, I love Brunswick stew. Now you're thinking about the customer, and if you keep a CRM and you can actually send out newsletters or whatever, you can just note, hey, Bobby Wright, one of my favorite customers, loves Brunswick stew. Come try it.
And it seems like so many people, so many businesses in general operate off of assumptions when getting data isn't that hard in 2025 for sure. You can just ask and get data pretty quickly.
Yeah, the POS has really made it simple. You're right. It's so much easier these days. And I think that's a good thing because Levi, in general, being a competitor in, say, the restaurant market, food service, it's much more difficult than it used to be. There are so many players in that wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So you got the big boys, the nationals, and then you got the locals, and then you got regional chains. And so everyone's kind of playing in a different, and you need to figure out your special sauce.
You know what I like about what you're doing? You seem to have like a macro approach, a collaborative approach to marketing. So I'm kind of curious what it currently looks like, or maybe before you got involved. How did a restaurant in particular market their business before you got involved? Was it just word of mouth?
Well, when we first got started, going back to the gym, the restaurants that we were focusing on were primarily dinner. Because keep in mind, there were no restaurants. So we weren't thinking about breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're looking for dinner. And these are for people who come downtown for like a show, the theater district, that kind of thing, or a hockey game, or family opera, that kind of stuff. That's primarily people were working somewhere else. They drive into downtown. So what we were trying to create at first was a climate of come before the show and have dinner. Yeah. And then the gym was getting people to come early and stay late. And that would be more grab and goes, like a good healthy smoothie or a nice sandwich, right? So it wasn't a sit down 5-course meal. And then as that started to mature and people moved down here, more restaurants popped up, and then people started opening for lunch, and lunch would be different. And we would, for example, Jim White, who's around the corner, he has a studio, a fitness studio. Okay. He has what's called Jim White approved. And some of the restaurants I had actually had Jim White approved entrees. He's from Ohio originally. He's written books, and so he's around the corner. Yeah. So it's a complimentary thing. We have trainers too.
That's brilliant marketing and collaborative marketing at that. It reminds me of like Michelin tires, like giving their stamp of approval for a restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. And so, again, with having, we had a fairly large following at the gym. Uh-huh. So either a restaurant or even maybe an office user or quasi office retail, like accounting or insurance, things like that, they were looking at the gym membership as a source of clients, revenue. Yeah. So you can see the collaborative effort. So it's that the dominoes, they start to fall, right? And you create some energy and some momentum, and people start to make money. And it's interesting, a body in motion stays in motion. Right. So as long as you keep the momentum going, more is better. You do and should and can grow the pie. Yes. So we walked down the block in our development, starting at the gym, right, in the 200 block, and slowly moved a little south, but mostly north, down the block, acquiring buildings, and then the collective energy of what we've done and things that were sort of contagious in nature, like gathering, happy hours, things like that.
Of course, yeah.
And you know when we knew we arrived? When beach people, because I live at the beach,
Right.
when beach people started to call Granby a hot spot.
The Granby is now the hot spot. I love it.
Yeah. And that was a little bit of a fight back in the day because it was kind of like it's either Norfolk or Virginia Beach. I don't know where that mindset comes from. I've never adopted that. It's always been, the metro area in downtown Norfolk is the only downtown. So when I first came down here with my business card, it says Bobby Wright, the Wright Company, a downtown commercial real estate company. It does not say Norfolk. I purposely put that on that card 24 years ago because I wanted people to understand my vision wasn't to be a good location for Norfolkians. This is a regional thing we're working on. And this downtown has regional history.
And that was from day one, your vision.
Day one.
I love seeing a visionary entrepreneur. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you touched a lot on marketing. What I'd like to know now is if there is let's say, a clear and concise brand for your gym and your wellness center and your commercial properties here, and if that brand has changed over time, or if you have a vision for a future brand.
Good question. I'm glad you asked it because we are in the middle of changing the brand. It's morphing. Anything that is operating as it did prior to COVID is going to die.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer of that. COVID taught us a lot of things, some of it good, a lot of it bad, but post-COVID, things have to be different. So the first thing we did, which I do not enjoy, is we went app-based. So during COVID, you could come in 24/7, which then spread out the people. But now where are we in 2025? There's some clear indicators that we have seen, and we're going to act upon them. And one is that everyone is ready to be social again. And they want a reason to be social. So they want to be not just hanging out and getting drunk, because that's worthless and a waste of money and not healthy. They want to do purposeful things that have maybe intentional meetings, intentional conversations, not small talk. The gym is contiguous to Percolator, which we used to have 4 campuses. Now we have 2. Started out as co-working, but then it morphed into individual private offices primarily because that's what the customer wants.
Okay.
So co-working is really not the right word for what we do. We do creative spaces. So as we're coming back into an era where people want to reunite around social and create new habits, and they're living downtown. Thousands of new people live in the city that were not here. We recognize that what we can do is complement the gym by changing Percolator into creative spaces for fitness and wellness companies.
Okay.
And if you think about that, that might seem limiting, but it's actually very expansive.
So what kind of fitness and wellness companies are outside of like a protein company, or maybe what are these companies?
Well, a simple one might be, which probably just popped in my mind that you wouldn't think of, is a chef that likes to cook healthy, clean food. Fantastic. It has a place. Integrative medicine.
Okay.
Integrative, typically, it's not allopathic, but a lot of people that were into prescribing drugs then find some truth into holistic healing, which means the body can be healed through change of environment, lowering stress, food.
Okay. So that is a lot of great information. I really appreciate sharing. But perhaps we'll wrap up this section and maybe once again, a concise message. What kind of community are we trying to build at your facilities? And what kind of people are we looking for?
Well, we're looking for everyone because everyone needs to be fit and well. And when we're a healthier community, we're going to be a more productive community. And we're going to be mentally more sound and probably spiritually much more joyous and grateful. So what I would love to see is when someone walks in, because we have the holistic creative spaces, and then we have the gym, and they are contiguous to each other. I want to see a lot cross-pollination and cross-marketing between the companies and the members. So as a member, I have the ability to come up and get a great workout in all by myself.
Yeah.
Or I could go into a group class, or I could get an individual trainer, right? Or I could go downstairs into MacArthur General Store, Farm to Table, which is one of our sister company, and I can buy all this clean, healthy, holistic food, organic food from farms right here in Virginia Beach. where they do not spray and the food's amazing. And I could go over and meet with some of the members of Percolator Holistic Community, that name could change over time. It may just get gobbled up into the gym downtown. I'm not sure. I'm working with Marcella and Marguerite and Dan and Brett, and collectively we're going to be listening to everybody and anyone that has an opinion for where this will go, because it has to be driven by the member, by the consumer, because ultimately we don't want them to just consume. We want them to participate and be a part of this. So it will be a work in progress always. So it's always going to be a journey. We'll probably never get to the goal line, because I think the goal line will always move.
You're always going to push it further, so you can always improve.
Yeah. Okay. Especially with AI, we're going to uncover in the next few years so many things about wellness and fitness that we did not know.
So really, you pretty much nailed it. We're just trying to figure out who we're looking for and pretty much the essence of the community you're trying to build. And honestly, you pretty much nailed it. Maybe we could end by saying where we can find this incredible community.
This community is starting right here at 259 Granby Street on Suite 250, which is where the creative spaces for the wellness individuals, and it can be an individual, it can be a company, it can be a group, it can be a collaborative. It doesn't matter. We're just open because we want it to be really like an open source area in here. A lot of sharing going on, because you don't know what you don't know. So we need to share, right? And then across the hall is the gym. So same second floor. So when you come up the elevator, you have a choice. You can go left to the gym and work out and do all those crazy good things. And then after that, you can go right and go meet with some of the vendors that are about holistic foods and modalities and fitness programs and supplements and ways of living. But they're all going to fall together, and then it's going to expand. There's a lot of real estate down here that we control, so we're not hemmed in to one frame.
Very diverse, very many opportunities to expand.
We can
and
expand.
explore.
So if anyone's listening to this and they're thinking, man, I'd love to go down there and do a physical therapy center. Like, I don't want just an office. I'd like 4,000 square feet to do it. Call Bobby Wright. We can figure this out. We have the space, and our energy and our desire is to support that. This is not just a one-off. This isn't a few people. This isn't an opportunity just to fill space. I want to make sure that rumor, if that is such a rumor, is dispelled. This is about truly people coming together with a real reason and vision because of like life's challenges. You know, me going through long COVID, I have a lot of reasons for why this is important in my own life. Okay. And when your test becomes your testimony, you start sharing with people how you overcame certain things by going out and learning and other people touching you. So we're just trying to bring it right here and bring it together. And hopefully as people hear about it, they'll want to be a part of it. And then of course the customers and the consumers and the members, they'll follow.